But where? Full course. Taxi! Three?
No, sorry.
Something.
You have a compelling story to tell, and GoTo Webinar is the best way to tell it. You can reach more people faster, build stronger connections, and let them see the real you, all adding up to business results that only this kind of engagement can bring you. Let's take a look and you'll see what we mean. Planning your webinar only takes a few moments. First, you pick a date for your webinar and add a compelling title and description. GoTo Webinar automatically creates a registration page for you. Now you're ready to send out the invite and watch the registrations flow in. We handle the confirmation and reminder emails so you can focus on your presentation. Once the big day arrives, you can use our practice mode to prep, then start the live event when you're ready. You can share anything on your screen at any time, or pass presenter controls to a co-host. Meanwhile, all your audience needs to do is just click a link to join. Have them interact through polls, surveys, live Q&A, and more. After your webinar is over, you can pull detailed reports on your attendees with our dashboard. These insights will help you follow up more thoughtfully and improve your webinar for next time. With GoTo Webinar, your webinar is forever. We create a customizable, branded video hub so you can share your recording with anyone, anytime. You can even pull in a new audience by offering your webinar as an on-demand or recorded event. Start sharing your story and getting the results you want today.
GoTo Training makes it easier to train people. How do we do this? You can design your class to be more effective by including a variety of activities. Recreate the in-person training experience by using activities, bringing in a document for discussion, and sharing videos. You can also measure people's progress and level of engagement. We'll help you keep track of who's paying attention. You can also touch base with your class by giving out a quick test or poll. Lastly, it's easy to manage. We take care of registration, payments, and communication so you can focus on what you do best, teach. Imagine having to use a spreadsheet to track your registrants, store everyone's contact information, and capture payments. It'd be a lot of work. With GoTo Training, leave that up to us. It's fun, powerful, and easy. It's what training should be.
.สวัสดีครับผมการกิติพจน์นะครับวันนี้ผมเป็นตัวแทนจากบริษัท Thaiware Communication จำกัดเว็บไซต์ที่จะจำหน่ายซอฟต์แวร์ลิขสิทธิ์สำหรับผู้ใช้งานทั่วไปและผู้ใช้งานระดับองค์กรนะครับก็ขอต้อนรับทุกท่านนะครับเข้าสู่งานสัมมนาออนไลน์ Thaiware WEBCON ครั้งที่ 6 ในหัวข้อ GoTo The Essential Connection Made Easy งานสัมมนาออนไลน์ที่ทำให้ทุกการประชุมและการส่งผ่านองค์ความรู้เป็นเรื่องง่ายทุกที่โดยช่องทางการสื่อสารที่ยืดหยุ่นสำหรับธุรกิจจาก GoTo นะครับแต่สำหรับผู้ใช้งานในประเทศไทยนะครับอาจจะยังไม่คุ้นกับชื่อของ GoTo สักเท่าไหร่นะครับวันนี้นะครับผมจะมาขอแนะนำสั้นๆก่อนเกี่ยวกับ GoTo ก่อนที่จะเข้าสู่เนื้อหาเต็มๆ GoTo นะครับเป็นบริษัทผู้พัฒนาโปรแกรมระดับโลกที่มีสำนักงานใหญ่ตั้งอยู่ที่อเมริกานะครับความเชี่ยวชาญของเขาเป็นการพัฒนาโปรแกรมด้านการประชุมออนไลน์และการสื่อสารออนไลน์ที่ให้บริการกับองค์กรธุรกิจจำนวนมากทั่วโลกครับผลิตภัณฑ์เด่นๆนะครับก็จะมี GoTo Meetingเป็นโปรแกรมประชุมออนไลน์ที่รองรับผู้ประชุมออนไลน์ได้สูงสุดถึง250คนตามมาด้วย GoTo Webinar นะครับเป็นโปรแกรมจัดสัมมนาออนไลน์ที่ใช้จัดงานสัมมนาออนไลน์ในครั้งนี้นั่นเองครับรองรับผู้เข้าฟังได้สูงสุดถึง 3,000 คนเลยทีเดียวนะครับและผลิตภัณฑ์อีกหนึ่งตัวนะครับเป็น GoTo Training เป็นโปรแกรมจัดคอร์สอบรมจัดคลาสเรียนออนไลน์ที่เหมาะสำหรับโรงเรียนสถานศึกษาและองค์กรธุรกิจที่ต้องการอบรมให้ความรู้นะครับและทดสอบความรู้ของผู้เข้าร่วมอบรมโดยรองรับผู้เข้าอบรมได้สูงสุดถึง200คนเลยนะครับโดยที่โซลูชันการประชุมออนไลน์และบริการอื่นของ GoTo นะครับได้รับการยอมรับจากผู้ใช้งานทั่วโลกและมีการใช้งานแล้วในกว่า190ประเทศครับในแต่ละปีนะครับมีการจัดการประชุมออนไลน์ผ่านระบบของ GoTo กว่า80ล้านครั้งและต้องบอกนะครับว่าระบบของ GoTo เนี่ยมีความเสถียรที่สูงมากเลยนะครับไม่ต้องกลัวว่าการประชุมของคุณจะล่มหรือเริ่มต้นการประชุมไม่ได้เพราะมีเหตุขัดข้องทางเทคนิค เพราะระบบการประชุมออนไลน์ของ GoTo นะครับมีค่า uptime หรือความพร้อมของระบบที่สูงมากถึง 99.999% เลยครับในงานสัมมนาครั้งนี้นะครับได้รับเกียรติจากวิทยากรผู้เชี่ยวชาญซึ่งก็คือคุณกวนหวังตำแหน่ง Senior Solution Consultant จาก GoTo นะครับที่จะมาบรรยายในหัวข้อยกระดับการทำธุรกิจด้วยช่องทางการสื่อสารที่ยืดหยุ่นหรือชื่อหัวข้อในภาษาอังกฤษที่ว่า Empower Flexible Business Communication และยังมีการสาธิตให้เห็นการใช้งานจริงของผลิตภัณฑ์ทั้ง3ตัวของทาง GoTo ด้วยนะครับซึ่งได้แก่โปรแกรมประชุมออนไลน์ GoTo Meeting โปรแกรมสัมมนาออนไลน์ GoTo Webinar และโปรแกรมจัดคอร์สอบรมออนไลน์ GoTo Training นะครับในหัวข้อทำความรู้จักกับโซลูชันด้านการสื่อสารและการประสานงานจาก GoTo หรือ A Look at GoTo Communication and Collaboration Products และยังมีวิทยากรอีกท่านหนึ่งนะครับก็คือคุณยศวีชัยสุวรรณตำแหน่ง Senior Solution Consultant จาก GoTo ที่ร่วมบรรยายในงานสัมมนาครั้งนี้ด้วยครับและวิทยากรท่านสุดท้ายนะครับก็คือคุณบิงดาเสงตำแหน่ง Territory Channel Manager ประจำภูมิภาคเอเชียแปซิฟิกจาก GoTo นะครับจะมาพูดถึงภาพรวมของผลิตภัณฑ์จาก GoTo นะครับและอยากให้ทุกท่านนะครับอยู่จนจบงานเลยนะครับเพราะในวันนี้นะครับเรามีการจับฉลากลัคกี้ดรอในตอนท้ายด้วยนะครับ5รางวัลด้วยกันส่วนของรางวัลจะเป็นอะไรนั้นเดี๋ยวผมขออุบไว้ก่อนเดี๋ยวมารอดูกันในตอนท้ายทีเดียวนะครับและในระหว่างฟังบรรยายนะครับถ้าหากมีคำถามข้อสงสัยอะไรก็ตามนะครับสามารถพิมพ์คำถามได้เลยในระบบของ GoTo นะครับและเดี๋ยวช่วงท้ายจะมีช่วง Q&A มาตอบคำถามกันนะครับลำดับต่อไปนะครับขอเชิญคุณบินเสงกล่าวเปิดงานสัมมนาในครั้งนี้นะครับ Upon this time occasion, I would like to invite Mr. Bing Daseng, Territory Channel Manager from GoTo, to deliver an opening remark. Please welcome Mr. Bing Daseng.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the great introduction from the team here. Okay, from the Thaiware team here. Yes, I'm Bing Daseng here. I believe all of you can see my screen. I'm the channels manager from GoTo, and my role is to actually work very closely with partners like Thaiware themselves to actually share with the customer on how our GoTo products can actually enhance and improve productivity in your current environment. Okay, so today our topic will be really focusing on essential connection on how our GoTo products can make connection so easily happen. Okay, so yes, this is before I begin, just have a look. The session will be recorded. And please feel free to submit any questions. We will have a Q&A session later on. Our colleague, which the team has already introduced, Bob, will be the person to help on the the Q&A answer and questions. And lastly, we also have a survey to please do feedback to us on how the webinar went and anywhere you would like us to improve on. Okay, and this is the GoTo team today. So you can see from the left, is Guan. She will be focusing on sharing with all of you on how the GoTo Training, GoTo Meeting, and GoTo Webinar works. Okay, and Bob will be helping us out on the Q&A session. Okay, he's able to speak Thai very well. And I'm Binda here, and we also have Jessica. Thanks to her, she's the one that arranged all these GoTo Webinar link that you are able to join and the invitation that you have registered, all is done by her. And thank you very much. Okay, so I will go ahead to give you a very short and sweet introduction of what GoTo can do. So GoTo is not a new product. We have been in the market since 2003. We used to call ourselves Log Me In. We have actually transformed and rebranded recently in February, in 2022 February. So we are now known as GoTo. So even way back in 2003, our tools are actually helping business to transform into a remote working place model. So right now, due to the pandemic, things have changed. Many people are working from anywhere they can, from home, from offices right now. Okay, some of you may be even in a cafe. Okay, so yes, our product is to really help organization to keep contact with each other whenever you are and wherever you are. You may be in different region, different country right now, but we are still be able to connect with each other, right? Like what we are doing right now in this webinar. We are able to actually engage you guys wherever we are, and wherever you guys are, maybe from home or offices. So this is one of the key area that we need to work on will be the communication. So wherever we are able to communicate with each other so that business continues to run. Okay. So my slide is actually to share with you on not just our tools help organization to transform into more productive organization, but it also help you to cut costs, to save a lot of costs on office rentals or things like hardware and software to be stored in a certain location, but right now you can have it wherever you are. Okay. So like I mentioned, our product here is really focusing on remote communication, hybrid working place model. And so these are some of the key pointers that you can consider us. We are a global partner. We have been actually awarded with a lot of award in Trust Radius online. If you do a search, Gartner Quadrant, you can also see us there. And why we are there are many reasons. A few of the reasons is you can see from here we are 20 years of trust and security. Yeah, our uptime is 99.999, and we have a team of 24/7 dedicated support. Yes, and we don't just help only on communication. We also have tools that help IT team to actually remote and monitor your devices, even mobile devices or hardware devices as well. Yes, and most importantly, our product is all in a single platform, which is easy for users to use and access. So you can see from here, these are the two portfolio of our tools. So our main focus will be on the right side today, which you can see, which is connect. Yeah, so how are we able to do connection with each other like what we are doing right now? So my colleague Guan will really be focusing on this this part to share with you on how our products can actually help you improve your communication without any downtime, lag time, and as well as what kind of trainings or webinar you can do with our tools here. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead to pass this session to my colleague Guan. Guan, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Binda. I'm just going to turn on my webcam so that everybody can see me. Okay, let me share my screen. 1 second. Okay, cool. So good afternoon, everyone. Many thanks for joining our session for today. So as introduced earlier, my name is Guan and I'm one of the senior solution consultant over here at GoTo. So I'm based in Singapore. So for today, not only I'm in the call, unfortunately I can't speak Thai, but my colleague Bob is on the call and he can help to do the translation. So if you have any question during my presentation, please feel free to pop the question in the Q&A channel. And then of course, if you prefer to put that in Thai, no problem. Bob can help us to do the translation. Yeah, so let's keep this session very interactive. Please feel free to ask if you have any question. And of course, due to the time limit I have around 40 minutes, I think, to discuss about 3 solutions, and I definitely can't cover everything. So if you are interested in our solutions, please feel free to contact us via Thaiware. And of course, we can subsequently schedule a more detailed demo on each product with you to understand more about our products and share about all our capabilities. Okay, so without further ado, I just want to quickly recap on the slide that which Binda has shared with you earlier. This is just in another format. So over here at GoTo, we have 2 major portfolios, mainly focusing on unified communication, and the other portfolios we have is mainly on remote support products. Okay, so of course, our focus today will be on the green pillar, which is the unified communication pillar over here. Okay, so under our unified solution portfolio, we actually have a cloud PABX solution called GoTo Connect, which unfortunately is not available in the region as of now. But very soon we are planning to launch that in Southeast Asia. And if that launches, hopefully we can arrange another webinar with Thaiware to introduce more about the capabilities of the solution with you guys. But of course, for today, our focus will be meeting, webinar, as well as training. Okay, so the key strengths that we have over here at GoTo is really we are trying to consolidate all the solutions we have within one single platform. I believe all of us over here at the call today, we know that we have experience in the past that we have to toggle between different applications to achieve different channels of communication, such as, for example, you have to use chat with your colleague on a separate solution, whereas if you guys have to go for a meeting, they have to jump into another solution, and later after that, maybe you have to do some email engagement, then you have to use a separate email client. But over here at GoTo, our end goal is really to consolidate all the solutions over here into one single app called the GoTo app. And of course, ultimately, for our IT team to our administrator team to actually manage all our solutions easier, we also have the GoTo admin portal, which is actually one-stop shop for you to manage all your IT solutions within your organization. Hence, this is a very unique differentiator for our GoTo solution that I would like to share with you for today. Okay. So for the next slide, I want to actually take you through what could be a collaboration or connection experience powered by GoTo on your daily working experience looks like, okay? So first thing, we have Valerie over here, which is the lady in the picture. So we say that Valerie starts work by launching her GoTo Connect client on her PC. And after that, right, when at GoTo Connect, Valerie can see her colleague's presence over here. So she sees that her colleague Michael is actually available, is actually online, and she actually gives him a quick video call to discuss about his team updates. Okay, and Michael, instead of working from home, Michael is actually at the office because he has an important meeting he has to host clients. So he's actually in a meeting room powered by GoTo Room. GoTo Room is actually our hardware solution over here, which can power the unified communication or any video device endpoint solution over here. Okay, then Valerie can see her ends the call, right? She suddenly saw her colleague Saturn is unavailable because showing by the status that Saturn is unavailable. But what he can still do is that Valerie can still leave a voicemail to Saturn and tell Saturn that, hey, later I actually want to sync up with you regarding something. Okay, then once Saturn becomes available, Saturn actually messaged Valerie back to get into a video call to discuss further. And at this point of time, Valerie is no longer in front of her laptop, but she's actually outside somewhere to grab a quick coffee, okay? But because she can still have GoTo Connect on her mobile phone, so she can still actually reply Saturn over the message on her mobile phone, and subsequently, if they want to discuss further, they can actually initiate a video call or initiate a voice call within GoTo Connect itself. Then at the later part of the day, so Valerie's team, right, they can organize a training session for a new partner, so they can use our solution called GoTo Training to enable to deliver that particular training. And subsequently, at the end of the day, right, so the Valerie's company, they are holding a quarterly all hands team call over here. Then they can actually use GoTo Webinar to deliver that kind of webinar experience over here. Lastly but not least, because within GoTo Connect, we also have a contact center capabilities over here. So just in case that, for example, if Valerie's team is also in charge of customer service, in charge of support, and then right now, the number of agents we have is very low. So Valerie can actually turn herself into an agent, make herself ready, and be ready to take as many as a course that he wants as a customer support agent. So basically over here, you see all these kind of different capabilities, regardless whether it's a room, hardware conferencing solution, regardless it's a voicemail, regardless if it's a messaging, or a simple phone call, or a simple voice call, or video call, or even a webinar experience, a training experience, or even a contact center experience. All of that can be actually achieved within GoTo. Okay, so hence this is the message we want to deliver to you today. It's actually a holistic experience that we can provide to you within our solutions. And what's best is that you can actually manage all the capabilities and all the solutions with one single admin portal over here. Okay, so this is ultimately the picture that we would like to paint for you to imagine that how you can actually transform your collaboration experience with the solution from GoTo. Okay. So without further ado, I want to dive into further details of today, which is that I will be spending the next 30 minutes, hopefully to discuss 3 solutions over here, GoTo Meeting, GoTo Webinar, and as well as GoTo Training. So if you have any questions, please feel free to post those questions in the Q&A panel, okay? So firstly, let's introduce about GoTo Meeting. Okay, so GoTo Meeting is our flagship meeting solutions over here. So some key statistics I would like to share. Okay, on an annual basis, we actually have 80 plus million online meetings that has been scheduled with GoTo Meeting. And you may notice that we really have an industry-leading service uptime, 99.999%. That means our solution is always stable and secure. And most importantly, our solutions are actually supported, powered by a 24/7 support team. That means whenever you actually purchase our solutions and if you run into any technical difficulties, you do not need to worry about that because our support team is actually available 24/7 to help you to address any possible technical glitch that you may face over here. Okay, and of course, we have some unlimited statistics that I would like to share. For example, on our solution platform, GoTo Meeting, you can host unlimited meeting regardless of which tier you are on. Okay, and you can actually have unlimited meeting time. So that means you do not need to worry that you will ever run out of specific meeting time. You can keep the meeting going as long as you have participants within the meeting. And of course, another feature I would like to highlight over here today is actually the unlimited cloud storage we have for our business and enterprise plan. Okay, so I know some our competitors in the market, they will need to charge extra costs in order to increase their cloud storage. But over here, it's a plus point for GoTo because we actually know that our customer has the need to store their cloud storage, their meetings. Hence, we actually offer this unlimited cloud storage for all of you to enjoy. So there's no more hidden costs, there's no more extra costs you need to worry if you actually purchase our GoTo Meeting solutions over here. Okay, so for the next slide, I would like to introduce some of the pre-meeting experience. Okay, what are the features, what are some of the functionalities you can expect from GoTo Meeting? Okay, so first thing first, of course, for GoTo Meeting, we actually enable you to do a customization of the link. For example, I can customize my link to say meet Guan or maybe Guan's demo, something unique to yourself, and something will be easier for your colleagues or for your partners, for your customers to remember. Okay, and of course, for GoTo Meeting, a very good plus point is that we have a click to join capabilities. So later I will share more details about that. Okay, so click to join, that means we are actually able to join via a browser from any devices, from your desk, from your either your Mac PC or your Windows PC over here. And of course, if you prefer to join via the desktop app, GoTo app is also available for you to download. Lastly, we understand that a lot of times, right, people will have the need to actually be on the go and still join a meeting. So we are also available on both the Android Google Play Store as well as Apple Store to be able to download to your iOS devices and iOS devices regardless if it's your mobile phone or your mobile tablet. Just with single click, you will be able to join the meeting to start communication and start engagement with your team or with your partners, your customers over here within GoTo Meeting. For the next slide, this is actually a quick preview settings that we have before you join any call. Okay, of course, this is what we are able to see from a desktop experience. Okay, so you're seeing that over here, I'm actually just using a Chrome browser. As I mentioned, we can simply do a one-click join from the browser to join a GoTo Meeting session itself. And over here, some of the settings we can see, of course, firstly, I can choose whether do I want to always mute myself before I join the meeting, whether do I want to turn my camera on or not, okay, and whether if I want to mirror my image over here. This is all something we can do. And on the right, you will see that there are different audio options for us to be able to join the meeting. Okay, so for GoTo Meeting, there are a few options. Firstly, of course, you are able to join via VoIP. That means join via your computer audio. And of course, we have some other functions such as call me over here. Okay, so that means you can actually enable GoTo Meeting to actually call you on your mobile phone to be able to join the meeting via voice. Okay, so this is something that unique we have over here in GoTo Meeting. So instead of you want to join, we can ask GoTo Meeting to actually call you to be able to engage you in the meeting experience. And especially sometimes if your network may not be stable, you may at a place where network performance is poor, then you can actually use this call me function to actually allow you to join this particular meeting. For the next function, of course, we have a virtual background feature over here. You can choose to just blur your background. So this is something that you can set up, especially now we know that a lot of you may be working from home and you really want to make sure the privacy is there regarding your background. So make sure you can utilize the virtual background feature within GoTo Meeting by utilizing our templates, or you can upload your own pictures over here to do something on your own to set up your virtual background to look more professional. Okay. Some other features I want to discuss is more about in the meeting. Okay, so in your meeting, what are some features that you can expect? Firstly, we want to talk about something about the screen sharing. And next, I want to talk about how you can do some drawing tools to actually engage with your attendees within the session. So of course, you'll be able to use some pointer, highlighter, spotlight function within GoTo Meeting to achieve that kind of engagement to let people follow, okay, which step are you on? And of course, later, I will also take you through some slides discussing about what are some breakout room capabilities that we have within GoTo Meeting. Okay, so for the first feature I wanted to discuss in session is about our screen sharing capabilities. Okay, so of course in GoTo Meeting, you are able to share either your entire screen, or you can share different monitors that you have, or you can share a specific window or specific Chrome tab if you are using Chrome browser over here. Okay, and a good feature and a very useful feature that I'm using always is actually to pause the sharing. So sometimes we know that as a presenter, you may need to switch between different windows. And just in case that you do not want people to see your desktop and you want to make sure that you have some privacy, so you can actually pause the sharing. And then when you are just ready to bring up another window which you would like to share, then you can actually resume sharing. Okay, so over here you can see that within that experience, we will notify you when your sharing is paused and when you're actually sharing your screen with the entire audience. Okay, so this is something that makes sure that you know at which time what exact specific content will be shared with your audience over here. Okay, so this is about the screen sharing option that I would like to discuss. And of course, when you are in the meeting itself, right? So in a lot of the meetings, people will turn on their webcam, but sometimes if you really want to only focus on the content or the screen that people is actually sharing, so you have the option to actually turn off the cameras. You can hide everyone, or you can choose to show only who is talking, or you can only show who is active cameras. That means who has turned on their webcam, but maybe they're not speaking. Okay, or you have the choice to view everyone. So this is entirely up to you on how do you want to design your meeting experience, what kind of look and feel do you want to see from your laptop itself. Okay, so you can select the best way that you think is most appropriate to your eyes over here. Okay, and of course, reaction, that is important within a meeting solution as well. So we know that sometimes it may be only one people who are actually talking and delivering the content, but sometimes to show we are engaged, to show we are participate, of course, we want to give some quick reactions. So in GoTo Meeting, we have reaction like, for example, you can raise your hands, you can give a thumbs up, you can do claps, you can send a heart, you can send a happy smile face over here. Okay, so these are some quick reactions you can do. And regarding raise hands, of course, we know that sometimes in a meeting, you may have questions and you may want to raise your hands to alert to the presenter that, hey, for the next speaker, you may want to take up the chance to actually talk and ask some questions. So you can actually raise your hands, and to the presenter's view, right, to the organizer view, you can see all the raised hands that has been populated from the audience. And subsequently, you can choose, for example, in this case, Michael to go first, Joshua to go next, and Santiago to go at the last. Or if all is addressed, you can choose to lower all hands at one go. So this is really to keep the engagement going within a GoTo Meeting session, okay? And of course, chat is also available, and you can also download a chat message, a chat report, post the session itself to document, hey, what chat messages has been delivered within the session itself. Okay, last feature I would like to introduce about the breakout, about in-session experience is our breakout room capabilities. Okay, so in GoTo Meeting, we understand that it's crucial to have a breakout room functionalities, especially if you want to break out into smaller rooms to do discussion. So over here in GoTo Meeting, we actually allow you to break out to up to 50 different rooms in GoTo Meeting. Okay, and then you can choose whether do you want to auto assign people to rooms, or as an organizer, you can choose to manually assign people to different rooms, and you can do a preview, okay, to see, okay, whether do I have assigned enough people into different breakout room over here. So over here, you see that as the organizer, Michael has divided 4 people into 2 breakout rooms. Okay, Michael and Anita is actually staying in the main room. They could be the organizers. They do not really need to go into discussion. But then Michael actually break into Joshua and Santiago in the breakout room 1. So you can see that there's a notification bar over here saying that the breakout will start in 1 second. So after 1 second, Joshua and Santiago will be taken into room 1, okay, to start their breakout collaboration. And what's good about GoTo Meeting, about the breakout room capabilities we have, is that we know that most of the time in the main room, everyone will be muted besides the organizer or the presenter that we are talking about, right? So when you are going back into the breakout room, we will allow you to actually turn on your webcam and start your unmute yourself again to start the discussion. And when you are taken back to the main room after that, right? So even though you may be still talking in the breakout room, we still are going to actually mute yourself again and actually block your camera again to the main room, so that only when you are back in the main room, only the main presenter are actually talking over here. So that make sure the order is still there. So this is something to note about our breakout room capabilities. And of course, once you want to end the breakout as the organizer, you can click on end breakout. Okay, so that notification will be available for all the attendees in their breakout room, saying that the breakout will end in 20 seconds. Then we have a 20 seconds countdown before we actually take you back to the main room. Okay, so this is something, the capabilities we have within the breakout room functionalities. Okay. Okay, another useful feature we have within GoTo Meeting is called a note-taking capabilities. So on the right, I'm not sure if it's big enough for you to see, but over here you see that we can actually launch a click by the note-taking function by clicking on the note section. Okay, so in GoTo, our solution is really built to design to make sure that you can actually manage all your pre-session, in-session, post-session experience, all of your communication requirements within our solution itself. Okay, so instead of going into your sticky notes or instead of going to your OneNote to take a note separately, you can actually use the note-taking functionality within GoTo Meeting. And you can see over here that I can put in details like, for example, topics for discussion. And over here, you see that we have some capabilities. For example, you can highlight, or you can make sure this is the action items for you to prompt you to take action past the meeting. And at the end of the session, what we have to do is post the session. You will have a screen recording and a transcript available for all the notes and action items you take within the meeting itself. Okay, so that will actually auto populate and for you to take action post the meeting. So it's a very straightforward way for you to keep the engagement, keep the experience within GoTo Meeting itself, instead of toggle between different applications to do notes taking and everything. Okay, so this is something that was introducing to you. Okay, and of course, when we talk about so many functionalities about in-session experience, another thing not to worry is actually about our security capabilities within GoTo Meeting. Okay, so just now I mentioned that besides our unified community portfolio, we also have another solution portfolio which is doing remote support. Okay, so security is always our top priority over here at GoTo. So for all our solutions, we are bank-grade security implemented measures. Okay, so you can see that we actually secure both the voice as well as the audio communication, and also even the contact sharing capabilities as well. And of course, within GoTo Meeting, you can also do a meeting log. Okay, you can do a passcode protected meeting, and in case someone really unwanted has joined your meeting, and of course you can remove them from the meeting itself. So this is what we talk about, the security features around GoTo Meeting. And post meeting, okay, what are some features that are available from within GoTo Meeting? Okay, so of course, first thing first is just now what we talk about is the meeting transcript function. Okay, so post the meeting, you'll be able to receive an email in your inbox saying, hey, your meeting transcript is actually ready. So from there, what you can do is basically you can actually recap all the highlights, all the notes, all the action items that you have taken from there. And also it will be documented, okay, which speaker has talked at which timestamp. So all those details will be available for you to actually track. And coming back, we also have cloud recording. So just now I mentioned we have unlimited cloud recording actually for our business and enterprise planned customers. And also we have a meeting diagnostic report. So just in case that you want to diagnose on the network performance, on the meeting performance, you can actually download this meeting diagnostic report to track further. And of course, if you need any additional help, you can actually reach out to our customer support team who are available 24/7 to actually give you more details about your meeting performance over here. Okay, so lastly, I want to introduce is that for all our GoTo solutions we are going to introduce today, GoTo Meeting, GoTo Webinar, and GoTo Training, we actually are very open to integration. Okay, so we have an integration marketplace which is available on our website. So you make sure you can check that out post our webinar today. Okay, so here we are just listing some of the commonly used integration we have within GoTo Meeting. Okay, so of course, a lot of time that we integrate our meeting solution with a calendar app such as Google Calendar or Calendly, or you can integrate with Office 365. Okay, and of course, you can also integrate your meeting GoTo Meeting with Salesforce and with Slack, okay, so that your meeting information is actually synced across different platforms for you to take note. Okay, besides all the available integration that we list over here, we also have our GoTo Meeting REST API. So if your team, you have a developer team who is interested to integrate GoTo Meeting with your in-house application, or you want to create some additional scripts to develop with GoTo Meeting, you can check out. Okay, it is free of charge. You can utilize that to build your own customization for GoTo Meeting. Okay, so that is what I actually want to talk about regarding GoTo Meeting. If any questions, please feel free to post your question in the Q&A channel. Then we can address it later after I finish introducing all the products. Okay. Then, without further ado, for the next product I want to cover is it's called GoTo Webinar. Okay. So for GoTo Webinar, some key statistics we have. Okay, so we have more than 50K plus customers, and that number is still growing, of course. It's using GoTo Webinar nowadays to actually use the webinar platform to expand their audience, to grow their business. So webinar is not only an internal use case, but you can actually use that to do an external facing webinar for lead generation and a lot of marketing activities over here. Okay, hence with that in mind, we actually have 2.8 million plus webinars hosted every year within the GoTo Webinar platform itself. And for GoTo Webinar, we actually are able to host a much bigger number of attendees compared to our meeting solutions. Okay, so we are actually able to host up to 3K attendees within a webcast webinar with our enterprise plan. So just imagine if you are doing a lead generation and you have maybe 1,000 people or 2,000 people, your target audience. So GoTo Webinar would be a very suitable solution for you to take note, because we are actually accommodate about to actually 3K attendees within a session. And even if you actually have a requirement to accommodate to do a live streaming, for example, to attendee size more than 3K, in GoTo Webinar, we also have the capability for you to do a live streaming from GoTo Webinar to other platforms such as YouTube, such as LinkedIn, such as Facebook. Okay, so you can do a live streaming to other platforms so that people more than 3K attendees will be able to see your webinar live at the same time. Okay, so this is something that interesting about GoTo Webinar, about the large number of attendee size that we support over here. And when we say that GoTo Webinar is one single webinar solution, and it has been a market-leading webinar solution for the past 10 plus years, we are actually capable to host 4 different types of webinars over here. So I just want to spend some time over here to tell you, hey, what are the different types of webinars we are capable to host over here? So first thing first, we have live webinars. Okay, so by its name, live webinars means that the organizer will be there live to start the session, and attendees will be able to join the session live as well. So for live webinars, we actually have 2 types of webinar. The first webinar is called a standard live webinar, which is the first row, that column we are seeing over here. Okay, so we say most of the time we use a standard live webinar for an interactive webinar, such as hands-on training or hands-on webinar over here, because in a standard live webinar, the attendees can actually unmute themselves and talk during the session. Okay, so there can be a 2-way participation within a webinar session itself. Then subsequently, we say that sometimes for a town hall experience or for a lead generation experience, sometimes the attendees may not need to unmute themselves to talk, but of course they are still able to submit their question. They are still able to raise hands to give some reactions within the session itself. Hence, we introduce the webcast webinar. And what's best is that for webcast webinar, we actually allow you to join via a browser-only experience. So let's say, for example, if you are opening to a lead generation webcast and you are opening to maybe 1,000 attendees, and many of them may come from different organizations, and some of them may have very strict IT environment regarding regulation about downloading software or something like that. So if you actually allow them to join a webcast session via browser, that will be a much easier experience for them. Hence, webcast experience is best designed for a town hall experience or a lead gen experience. Besides the live webinar, standard webcast we talk about, we also have recorded webinar over here in GoTo Webinar. Okay, so let's say if you have some good live sessions that you have make a recording, so why not reutilize those sessions recordings and turn them into a recorded webinar to increase your ROI? Okay, so for recorded webinar, what you can do is you can set up the webinar to start maybe like, for example, 4 p.m. today. Okay, so people register and they will be able to turn into to watch that particular recorded webinar at 4 p.m. Another way is you can make it on demand. That means regardless of which location, which time zone your attendees are located at, they can actually register themselves and turn themselves into that particular recording at any time. Okay, so this is a good feature that I would like to introduce about GoTo Webinar. Lastly, but not least, we have virtual events. Okay, so in view of the pandemic, we know that we are not able to host as many in-person events as before, or we would like to do a hybrid model of events. Hence, virtual events come in handy, as this is a feature that we introduced earlier this year. Okay, so virtual events is a setup that combines both the live webinar that we talk about as well as a recorded webinar we talk about. So let's say, for example, your company can have a new hire orientation event or a product launch or a sales kickoff day. So you may have 3 to 4 different webinar setups. Okay, some of them could be a live webinars and some of them could be a recorded webinar. Okay, so this is enable you to achieve, to unlock all the webinar requirements within one single setup, and your audience, they just need to manage all the setup requirements within one single event page. So this is what we call a virtual event over here. Okay, so we have done a brief overview about what are the different webinar capabilities we have within the platform. Next, I want to quickly introduce something about the pre-session experience. Okay, so for a pre-session experience, it's all about how do you schedule a webinar and how can you promote your webinar so that more attendees will be able to join you in time. Okay, so some features that I would like to cover. First thing first is about a bug registration feature. So normally how GoTo Webinar works is that we have a registration URL that you can actually send the registration URL to all your potential attendees for them to register. Okay, but besides that, for example, if you have a company town hall that you know all your company colleagues have to join, or if you have a lead gen, you have already a list of contacts that come from your marketing agency, what you can do is you can actually do a bug registration to register all of the contacts you have at one go. Okay, so this is a feature that could be useful, especially if you have a large audience over here. So in fact, that I have tried that with one of my customers. They're actually able to register 1,000 attendees within a few seconds over here in GoTo Webinar. So that saves the trouble for the organizer to keep sending the registration URL to the attendees for them to register. And sometimes even they will forget to register, right? So you actually, as the organizer, will take control of the proactivity. Okay, so you actually register on their behalf. Next feature that I think is very important is about the customization capabilities we have with GoTo Webinar. Okay, so this is something different from a meeting invite, right? Because in GoTo Meeting, I mentioned that yes, definitely we can do a customization regarding the meeting URL. You can define it to be, for example, Meet Gwen or Gwen's demo or Gwen's meeting room, something like that. But then ultimately, it's still just a URL that you are going to share with your attendees for them to join an online meeting session. But over here in GoTo Webinar, we are actually able to do a lot of more customization and especially helping you as an organizer to capture a lot more details over here. So for over here, from the screenshot, you can see that, of course, first thing first, we can have your company own logo. You can have your feature image. You can set your company's theme color over here within your customer registration page. Okay. And besides standard fields that we require you to put in your first name, last name, and email address to register yourself, you can actually put in more registration fields such as your organization, your phone number, which country you're coming from, and which organization you are coming from. All those details that you can actually put them into the registration page. And what if that's not sufficient, what you can do in GoTo Webinar is you can actually also populate your own questions over here in the registration page. For example, I can ask them, hey, have you used GoTo Webinar before? I can set up this question to be a short answer question or even an MCQ question for them to choose. Okay, and subsequently, I'll be able to collate all the responses over here to actually help myself to prep for the webinar even before I start the session. And another good thing about this is that you do not need to variate, hey, as an organizer, how am I able to tabulate, collate all the registration information prior to the webinar? Okay, because in GoTo Webinar, later I will spend more time to discuss about it, is that we have a very advanced analytics and reporting function. So you will be actually able to churn out a registration report, okay, which captures all the registration details that your registration have put in the particular registration form. So post the event, you can actually download those reports in either CSV format or Excel spreadsheet format to actually review them. And you can also even integrate that GoTo Webinar with your other CRM solutions, such as Salesforce Product, and then pass over the data to that particular vendor, okay, for further analytics and further reporting and further lead generation campaign from there. Okay, so this is something I want to discuss. Another feature that I would like to introduce to you today is about the source tracking capability we have within GoTo Webinar. Because prior to the webinar, it's very important that we are promoting the webinars, right? So over here in GoTo Webinar, we can design different source trackings, such as, for example, I can create a source on LinkedIn, create another source on Facebook, and create another source on Twitter. And hence, subsequently, I'll be able to put all the source links separately on those platforms respectively. And hence, in the end, I'll be coming back with a reporting says that, for example, 20 people register via LinkedIn, another 30 register via Facebook, and another 40 register via Twitter. And in that case, as an organizer, I'll be able to track which platform actually helps me draw most audience. And subsequently, for the subsequent webinar, I will be able to channel in more resources over there and then put in more investment or more publicity towards that platform to promote my webinar. Okay, so this is about the source tracking capabilities. Another feature that we have in GoTo Webinar is about the reminder email functionalities. Because a lot of time, right, we know that people may register a webinar 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, but then they forget about it. Hence, in GoTo Webinar, we actually allow you to define how do you want to send a reminder email to your attendees prior to the webinar. Okay, so we can send up to 3 different reminder emails prior to the webinar for you to remind them to join the webinar session itself. Okay, and as I shared earlier, most importantly, you do not need to go back to your email client, your Outlook, your Gmail to do that. You can configure all the email setup within GoTo Webinar itself. Next, we have some in-session features that I would like to introduce to you about. Okay, of course, first feature is we are able to do a polling experience. Let's say I can do a poll experience, say, guys, am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Or am I going too fast? Okay, so this is something you can do a polling experience. And of course, as an organizer, you will be able to share that particular results with your attendees within the session itself. Okay, next, about Q&A. So, this is different from a meeting session where people just put in their questions in the chat window. Over here in Q&A, and right now, especially we are in GoTo Webinar solution itself, right? You'll be able to see the Q&A panel over there. So you'll be able to actually enter your question over here, and the organizer will be able to choose to see all the questions, to set a priority to the question, and assign the question to different panelists. Like in this case, they may assign a question regarding GoTo Webinar to me so that I can choose to answer those questions, okay? And all the questions and answers has been asked and answered during the session itself that will be documented and captured in our Q&A report. Okay. Lastly, what I want to talk about is actually the post-session experience that we have within GoTo Webinar. Okay, so GoTo Webinar, very importantly, a lot of times we are doing a recording for those webinars. So we actually have unlimited recordings over here for Pro and Enterprise plan. So this is actually your dashboard, and you have a video library over here. So all your past recording will be saved in this particular video library. And then when we talk about the actionable items from our powerful analytics tool, okay, so a very unique differentiator for GoToWebinar is that we are able to do analytics not only for our live webinars, but as well as our recorded session, okay? So that will make sure that you have all the data that you would like to want to analyze based on your past webinar experience, okay? So some of the sample reports we can get is, for example, your Q&A report, your recording report, your registration report, your attendee report, and your survey report as well. So when talking about the survey, right, next feature I would like to introduce is actually a survey. So you can actually choose to send a survey right after the webinar, or you can choose to include the survey in the follow-up email. So in GoToWebinar, just now I mentioned, we can send a reminder email prior to the session. Post the session, it does not stop from here, right? So we still want to send a follow-up email to our absentees. So you can choose to send a follow-up email to your absentees as well as your attendees, okay? That can include a session recording, a certification, as well as a survey form for them to actually conduct within the session itself, okay? So this is what we talk about the post-webinar experience over here. And last slide, also to re-emphasize again, because we are really, very open to integration, and we have a lot of out-of-box integration that are already available. And a lot of customers come to us because they say, for example, hey, I have a Salesforce product, and I would like to choose GoToWebinar because you already have a ready available integration. Hence, I can simply utilize that. Okay, or for example, they may have an integration with HubSpot or Marketo, something like that. So GoToWebinar, this is a plus point that we have because we are really open to so many integration partners over here. And if there's something that not in the list, then we also have the free GoToWebinar REST API for you to leverage on. Okay, so this is something that I would like to cover about GoToWebinar. Any question, please feel free to post in the chat section. And last solution we want to discuss today is around GoTo Training. Okay, so for GoTo Training, it is different from meeting solution. It is different from a webinar solution. It's really more like a niche market over here because we use that to deliver impactful trainings. And of course, it's very flexible and easy to set up experience for the organizer. So no need to worry about that. So some statistics we have over here for GoTo Training. So on our platform, we are actually seeing 70K plus annual trainings conducted, and that helps us draw more than 3 million annual attendees on our platform. So a lot of time, right, we use this kind of GoTo Training or as a virtual substitute instead of your in-person training. Okay, so what it can help you do is, of course, it can help you save costs because you can save the travel, the transportation costs for all your attendees as well as your trainer to get together, rental solutions, etc. Okay, and it can also help you increase your productivity. So we actually have conducted a survey that from most our 60% of our clients, they say that they have a 26% productivity increase with our GoTo Training platform. Okay, why? It's because we actually offer different types of trainings over here that is available. Like for example, we can have a single training, that means it's a one-time off training, or we can set a multi-session training on a recurring basis. Lastly but not least, we can turn any of our past training into an anytime training or so-called on-demand training over here for people to register and still do the training whichever time they feel that they're available over here. Okay. So prior to the training, what are some features that we have over here in GoTo Training? Okay, so of course, first thing first, you will be able to customize the registration form. So the experience is very similar to GoToWebinar, so I'm not going to repeat over here. And then, of course, you'll be able to do a payment collection for your training as well. So we actually integrate with PayPal, so you can actually set up, for example, this training is 20 USD. Then you can actually collect the payment before everyone goes into the training itself. Next, we have is that during the training, what are some capabilities you have? So this will be our key focus for today. So during your training, of course, you can still do screen sharing, you can do a presenting. That is all the normal capabilities we have. And of course, you'll be able to do breakout rooms as well. And something different that is unique only for GoTo Training is that for GoTo Training, you'll be able to do a live test, and you can also do an evaluation. You can have a timer, and you can have a whiteboard capabilities within GoTo Training as well. So let me show you what are some of those feature samples, okay? So when you are in the session itself, as an organizer as well as an attendee, you'll be able to see the session information over here with the session ID and the session link. And of course, you have a session summary over here to show you, hey, what are the attendance, what are the attentiveness level, and how far is the progress. Like for example, how much pooling have you completed, how much tests have you completed over here. Okay, so these are the basic information you can have. And of course, when we talk about materials, right, a lot of times for our training session, our materials are readily available. So as an organizer, you can actually choose to upload your materials over here within GoTo Training, okay? And then your attendees can choose to download those materials onto their local devices to access post the training or during the training itself. Okay, so this saves you the trouble as an organizer to go back to your email client or go back to your sharing tool to share those materials with your attendees post the session. You can do everything within GoTo Training itself. Okay, and then we want to talk about the sharing options. Okay, so we talk about for example, you can share a particular file that is the materials just now we talk about within the session. Of course, you can share a YouTube video. Okay, so then you can present the video within the session. You can also share a Google Drive so that everyone within the training session itself can collaborate working on, for example, a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, something like that. And then we have a newly feature that is going to be available soon. It's called a whiteboard functionalities. So we actually partner with Miro. Okay, so you can expect something like that later within GoTo Training. Basically, you can do a whiteboarding and you can actually sign in to Miro, or you can just use the whiteboarding as a guest. And subsequently, you can use the whiteboarding to share, to do some real-time annotation with your attendees for them to see in the real time. So this is some engagement method we have. Other engagement method we have is, of course, pooling. Okay, so this is a similar experience to GoTo Webinar. You can actually launch a pool to gather some real-time responses within the session itself. And of course, something unique is you can do a task within the session. Okay, so one example is something like that. Okay, you can launch a task as an organizer as a trainer to your attendees, and then of course you will be able to see how many people has answered the question. You'll see a progress bar over here, and then when you decide to end this particular task, you can choose whether do you want to publish that particular task results to the attendees, or do you want to keep it private so that you can churn out a task report post the session to analyze the task report performance on your own. Okay, so this is something that you can do regarding that. And of course, over here, you can also see a timer function. Okay, so within GoTo Training, you can set up a timer, for example, for your breakout room or for your task experience or for your evaluation experience that can all be done over here within GoTo Training. Okay, then after the training, what are something we can expect? Okay, so after the training, we also have very powerful analytics within GoTo Training as well. So some of the registration reports that you can expect is, for example, a registration report, attendee report, an evaluation report, okay, and some registration task report. So just now I shared, right? You can either keep the task result confidential or you can choose to publish with all your attendees, okay? And then if you want to compare against multiple sessions, then you can have a training history report or have a test report by date to collate what are the past test responses, test performance from your attendees in the past sessions, okay? So these are about the training session reports. And of course, some else we can have is, of course, we can present a certificate of completion after your training. So let's say that you have completed the training and you want to present a certificate that can be included in as well. And then we also have a content library function. That means all the tests, all the pooling experience, all the materials that you have previously uploaded in your prior training, you can actually store them in the content library so that you can reutilize those test materials, those Q&A, those poolings after the session. Okay, so this is what we call a content library function. last slide that I have regarding GoTo Training is also to share with you what are the different integration partners that we have for such as SAP, Litmus, Vitalac, Circlife, all those partners that we have. Okay, so these are the ready available integration partners we have within GoTo Training. And of course, you can also utilize our free GoTo Training REST API to do integration on your own. Okay. So with that, I think I'm just around the time. So I would like to end my presentation. Of course, today what we covered due to the time limit is only a subset of our capabilities. So if you would like to understand more about our solution, please feel free to contact Thaiware, and they can link you guys with us. Then we can subsequently arrange another session to do a more detailed demo. Okay, so now I would like to open the time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to either unmute yourself to ask, or you can send your question in the Q&A panel. Yeah. Okay, so now I also have my colleague Bob, who is on the webcam right now. We will both be able to help you to assist on the Q&A experience.
Thank you very much, Gwen, for the demo. สวัสดีครับผมยศวิชัยสุวรรณนะครับเป็น Solution Consultant จาก GoTo เหมือนกันนะครับก็คือตอนนี้ถ้าใครมีคำถามนะครับสามารถจะพิมพ์คำถามมาได้ที่ในช่องของ question ได้เลยแล้วเดี๋ยวผมจะเป็นคนสื่อสารกับทางคุณกวนให้นะครับโอเคแล้วมีคำถามแรกนะครับเกี่ยวกับเรื่องภาษาไทย support นะครับตรงนี้ถามว่าไม่ทราบว่าตัว GoTo เนี่ย support ภาษาไทยหรือไม่ในจุดของการทำ Q&A generate report แล้วก็ทำตอนทำโพลนะครับSo Gwen, we got a questions regarding about the Thai support in terms of setting up the Q&A reports and setting up the poll. Do we do that?
Yep. So unfortunately, as of now, we do not support Thai. But if you have requirement, please come to us. Then we can definitely escalate our requirement, feature request to our product team for them to consider. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And the second questions. คำถามต่อมานะครับคำถามว่า GoTo จะต้องติดตั้งแอปหรือสามารถใช้งานผ่านเว็บได้เลยหรือเปล่า So the second question for you is the application required to use GoTo or they can use it from the web browser as well.
So which solution are we talking about over here?
I think we're talking about GoTo in general. So GoTo
okay.
Web. Yeah.
So maybe let me introduce that for all of our solutions over here. So firstly, for GoTo Meeting, you actually have the freedom to either use the GoTo Meeting in the browser or using the GoTo app. Okay, so that is flexible. You can do both ways. Whereas for GoTo Webinar, as of today, we have to use the GoTo Webinar desktop app as an organizer to launch the particular session or to start the session. Whereas for the attendee, they might be, depends on the types of webinars that I introduced earlier. They can have the freedom to either join via the desktop app or join from the mobile app, or for webcast webinar, they can join from the browser. Okay, and lastly, they can also join by audio dial-in. There's a WAP option as well. And then for GoTo Training, as of now, we support also both the GoTo app as well as the browser, so they can join both ways. So it's only for GoTo Webinar right now. We do not support a browser experience for everybody, but our product team is still working to actually relaunch that into the GoTo app experience, and after some time, we will be expecting everything to be able to deliver within GoTo app or the browser itself. Yeah.
Thank you. ก็คือสำหรับในจุดของ GoTo Webinar นะครับตรงนี้เนี่ยสำหรับสปีกเกอร์จำเป็นจะต้องมีตัว Desktop App แต่ว่าสำหรับคนที่จะเข้ามาจอยในจุดของเซสชันเนี่ยไม่จำเป็นจะต้องมีตัวแอปดาวน์โหลดก็คือสามารถจะเข้าจากเบราว์เซอร์ได้เลยแล้วก็ในจุดของ GoTo Meeting หรือว่า GoTo Training เนี่ยอันนี้สามารถที่จะใช้จากตัวเว็บเบราว์เซอร์ได้หรือว่าจากแอปพลิเคชันก็ได้นะครับมีคำถามเพิ่มอีกไหมครับ
คำถามอื่นอีกไหมครับโอเคเดี๋ยวมีคำถามจากทางทีมงานมาถามนะครับก็เขาจะมาที่รวบรวมมานะครับถามว่าการ GoTo Meeting นะครับสามารถบันทึกประชุมไว้ดูย้อนหลังได้ใช่ไหมครับ
So the questions from Thaiware is can the session be recorded and then to view later on as well?
Yes, it's already recorded for the session.
And what is the retention?
Oh, so for our retention for GoTo Meeting, as of now, we can retain for maximum 1 year. Whereas for GoTo Webinar, we can retain as long as you have an active contract with us. So that's so-called what we call an unlimited cloud storage for GoTo Webinar. Yeah. But then, of course, sorry, Bob. But of course, then that is talking about our cloud recording, and after that, they can, of course, before 1 year, they can download and store locally. Yeah.
Thanks for that. ครับก็คือในจุดของ GoTo Meeting เนี่ยสามารถ record แล้วก็เก็บเอาไว้ได้ถึง1 ปีแล้วก็ในจุดของGoTo Webinar หรือว่า GoTo Training เนี่ยตรงนั้นเนี่ยสามารถเก็บไว้ unlimited เลยจนกว่าคุณจะterminate contract กับเรานะครับแต่ว่าก่อนที่จะ terminate contract กับเราเนี่ยสามารถที่จะดาวน์โหลดเก็บเอาไว้ที่ local ได้เก็บไว้ที่เครื่อง local ได้
ครับผมเนี่ยมีคำถามต่อนะครับถามว่าการ GoTo Meeting ครับมันสามารถใช้งานผ่านอินเทอร์เน็ต 4G ได้มันเพียงพอต่อการใช้งานไหมครับ
ขอบคุณมากครับGuan, so what is the minimum requirement in terms of the internet bandwidth to use GoTo Meeting or GoTo Webinar? Is 4G good enough?
Yes, definitely, because we can definitely join the meeting on the go or webinar session on the go. So the network requirement we require is very minimum. And we are actually very stable. So so the bandwidth requirement is very minimum.
ครับก็คือใช้น้อยมากครับ
โอเคครับก็คือการใช้งานก็คือยังทำงานได้ดีเป็นปกติเลยใช่ไหมครับ
ใช่ครับก็คือในตัวของ bandwidth เนี่ยเราสร้างแพลตฟอร์มขึ้นมาสำหรับเป็น remote work กันนะครับดังนั้นเราสร้างแพลตฟอร์มขึ้นมาเพื่อที่จะรองรับกับการทำงานใน low bandwidth อยู่แล้วก็อย่างเช่นก็ในมือถือ 3G หรือ 4G ต่าง
ๆโอเคครับมีท่านใดมีคำถามอีกไหมครับโอเคไม่มีนะครับงั้นผมขอเข้าสู่ช่วงต่อไปเลยนะครับโอเคก็ต้องขอบคุณนะครับมิสเตอร์บินดาเสงนะครับแล้วขอบคุณคุณกวนหวังแล้วก็ขอบคุณคุณยศวีมากนะครับ I would like to thank Mr. Bindaseng for giving a remark speech นะครับ and Miss กวนหวังin all topic and Mr. Yoswi to answer question นะครับ Thank you แล้วก็ต้องขอบคุณทุกท่านนะครับที่อยู่ร่วมกันจนจบงานสำหรับท่านใดนะที่สนใจรายละเอียดเพิ่มเติมเกี่ยวกับผลิตภัณฑ์ของ GoTo ก็สามารถติดต่อมาได้ที่ทาง Thaiware เลยนะครับสุดท้ายนี้นะครับต้องขอบคุณพิธีกรทั้ง3ท่านนะครับคุณบินดาเสงคุณกวนหวังแล้วก็คุณยศวีนะครับรวมถึงทีมงานทุกท่านที่จัดงานในครั้งนี้นะครับ Thaiware WEBCON ครั้งที่6ในหัวข้อ GoTo The Essential Connection Made Easy ถ้าหากมีข้อผิดพลาดประการใดหรือขาดตกบกพร่องยังไงนะครับทางเราต้องขออภัยมาณที่นี้ด้วยนะครับแล้วพบกันใหม่ในโอกาสหน้านะครับวันนี้ทางทีมงาน Thaiware และ GoTo ก็ต้องขอตัวลาไปก่อน Thank you to all speakers and thank you everyone of your participation and attention. I hope that this seminar today has offered knowledge, insight, and information which can be applied into practical use. Thank you and goodbye. สวัสดีครับ